House leaders say the impact of the health data breach impacting members of Congress and their staff could be more extensive than previously known.
The FBI has confirmed some information from the breach has already been sold on the dark web. It's unclear how the data was accessed or who is responsible for the breach. The information accessed includes Social Security numbers and home addresses, plus names of spouses and dependent children. CBS News congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane joins us now with more. So, Scott, how concerned are members of Congress over this breach?
Particularly concerned. Elaine and Nikki, we've become all too accustomed to data breaches and the possibility of identity theft or fraud because of it. But this is different, and this is more pronounced. This impacts Washington, D.C., potentially members of Congress, their staff, and their advisors. And it happens at a time of increasing political violence and at a time of increasing political threats. And here's what's exposed through this breach: addresses, phone numbers, Social Security numbers, email addresses, identifiable information for so many people in power out there on the dark web, out there potentially still for people to access at a time when members of Congress want to be particularly careful with their personally identifiable information. This is a breach of the DC Health Link, this system set up here in the District of Columbia to help people who live and work here get access to health care. Obviously, some part of the congressional community lives here, and there were emails circulating overnight and confirmed by CBS News today that among the things senators and Senate staff are being warned about is the vulnerability of their Social Security numbers, their phone numbers, and their addresses.
Scott, you listed several items: Social Security numbers, birth dates, children. Do we know specifically what was available for purchase on the dark web?
Well, the FBI has said that their undercover or their investigative agents saw it on the dark web, perhaps tried to make a transaction to see what became of it. They didn't granularly list what was bought or what's being sold, but just the prospect of this gravely concerns members of Congress. We spoke with Norma Torres of California, a Democrat who's on the House Administration Committee, which has oversight over things like this, the congressional workforce. Here's what she had to say about this breach.
I think it's very concerning to me. It's something that we are going to look at. We were notified yesterday to take all, precautions.
Surprise you?
It didn't surprise me. Nothing surprises me nowadays. Hackers are, their new line of work is to continue to enrich themselves by profiting off of people's personal information. And why not members of Congress?
But again, this is a different type of breach concern. There were last year 7,000 investigations into threats against members of Congress. There were 10,000 the year before. There's just this next level of concern, Elaine and Nikki, about personally identifiable information being available for those who are more likely to be targeted for violence.
On another topic, Scott, in a rare moment of bipartisanship, House lawmakers unanimously voted to declassify intelligence on the origins of COVID. What could we learn if that intel is released?
Yeah, this legislation passed by the U.S. House would require the intelligence agencies to declassify whatever they have and can declassify about that Wuhan lab leak theory and the origins of COVID. This has been a difficult issue in the last few weeks to get your hands around or your head around, because there's not a normal political contour to this. There is some bipartisanship to it. We just got a statement from the top Democrat on the House Committee, Select Committee on COVID-19, Raul Ruiz of California, who says he supports getting more information, more declassified information about the origins of COVID to prevent a future pandemic. And this is the same issue that the House Republicans have been championing as part of this committee and as part of their new majority. So there's a little bit of a blurred line here politically. There seems to be unanimity in wanting answers, but there seems to still be a divide over whether the Biden administration has done fruitful work or thorough work trying to do this themselves. So there's a political divide of sorts, just not a clean one. This bill passes, and it's a step closer to declassified information about the Wuhan lab leak theory.
Yeah, so many open questions still, as you know, surrounding that. Scott MacFarlane in Washington. Scott, thank you.